The story of the sheep house. My full name is Bergsveinn Grétar Reynisson, but everybody call me Beggi. My sheep farm is called Króksfjarðarnes. That's named after a lady that was a farmer here for 1,000 years ago. Her name was Gróa. And we are on the south part of the Westfjords. I'm born in 1964 on a sheep farm that is maybe 50, 60 kilometers away from here. I grew up there until I was 15. And I was actually only 17 when my wife picked me up. My wife was a sheep farmer here. I was helping her. She was a sheep farmer with 400 or 500 sheep. She was the kind of the brain. She knew all the sheep and the father and mother of a lot of them and all these small details that make you a good farmer. She died from a cancer 2 years ago. So I knew a lot about sheep farming, and I have been around sheep farmer all my life. But I was never the farmer. It was my wife that was responsible for everything. She was responsible for the money and things like that. It was a lot of things, especially in the lambing season, that I never have to think about sheep because it was definitely her part of the sheep farming. For example, all the health problem for the sheep and the lambs, that was kind of what she was taking care of. I was more in the physical work. But of course, I miss her a lot in it. But my daughter Gulla, she is taking a big part of her job in it. Gulla, she is 28 years old now, and she has always, since she was 10 years old, been helping us a lot, especially in the landing season. We are having maybe 800 lambs born on 3 weeks, and then it is a shift in the sheep house 24/7. And Gulla, since she was 10 years old, has always been taking the night shift. So she is staying awake over the night and helping all the lambs to get into the world and taking care of everything. Of course, when she was a kid, if she needed the help, she just wake up me or her mother or helping. But now she is much better in everything than I am. But that.
Let's not just spell right. Let's keep out. Still people. You got reason. Nej, jag ska bara hoppa in efter. Det är inte det där. Du står still.
Cheryl, är det så att morden har vi hämtat?
Leave it in for a moment to see
How crazy he would be with his new decorating.
see the next thing. You want the big one.
Yeah.
Hello, Ita. Hello. I'll be with them to see.
You like it? I built the sheep house 2001, and we kind of designed them by ourselves. We have been traveling to a lot of farms on Iceland to realize how we want our sheep house to look, and this technique to put the hay rolls down in a whole piece in each ring was kind of starting. This was one of the first sheep houses that has a railway in the roof for transporting the hay rolls, and yes, we kind of designed that by ourselves, and we are kind of happy that we didn't build the sheep house 10 years earlier, because then they would not have this kind of new technique. there's a lot of things that was kind of the first time in a sheep house on Iceland in this sheep house. For example, the water system, they just had a kind of a small nipple that they touch. They have been using it for a pig for a long time, but usually people were just using some buckets for the sheep or the hose and things like that. But we just think, why can't sheep learn to drink as a pig? Of course, they learned. It took them only one try to touch this nipple, and then they always get a fresh and clean water. And water on Iceland is cheap, so you should just use so much water as your animal wants to drink. It's good for them. The biggest challenge for being a sheep farmer, it is actually similar all over the world. It is always the question, how will the spring be? Because the lambs, they are born at the spring, and then warmer countries where the spring comes earlier, the lambs are just born earlier. But some years we have a bad spring. The spring is coming 3 weeks later than usually. And then we, in the worst cases, we have to keep biggest part of the sheep and the lambs inside for a long time. It's not unusual that we get snowstorm in late May, and then we have to get all the lambs inside. Then you will have more sickness, and then you will have more accident, and the sheep can't eat enough. They really need the green, fresh grass outside for making enough milk for the lambs. But we have definitely a global warming, so the autumn is always coming later and later and later. So now it is unusual if you get snowstorm before December. When I was a kid, we always expect the first snowstorm late in September. And on the winter time, we have to, we keep the hay rolls outside. We have to get them inside for feeding the sheep. That is always a little bit critical. How will the weather be? Of course, we have a really good weather report, but it can be snowstorm for maybe 1 or 2 days, so we can't open up any doors. So we have to think about it to put enough hay roll inside to the barn. I'm always not fighting with the weather. I'm more maybe working with the weather. You can't decide, I'm gonna do these things on Monday, because you don't know how the weather will be on Monday or whatever. We are on a volcano island close to the North Pole, so you never know. I am doing sheep farming because I really love it. Now, when my wife died, everybody was asking me, Becky, what are you going to do? You should start to find some easier job and relax, enjoy the life. I am enjoying the life. I'm really enjoying it. And if you are a sheep farmer, it's likely the same all over the world. Be rich of it, to have a lot of money out of it, and you should do something else, because sheep farming is not making a lot of money. It is more like a lifestyle, and I really like this life. You kind of know the routine over the year, but it's always different work. You can say that the time, the nature, and the farmer, they are just one thing. Of course, you can control your time a little bit, but I have to decide in December when the landing season will start in the spring. In the spring, doesn't matter how the spring will be, the landing season will always came on the time that I chose in December when I put the ram to the female sheep. So, yeah, it is a passion. I really love this job, and I could choose now when my wife died to just totally split off my life and do something else. But I am where I want. I'm not going to change anything.